All right, this video is to detail how to use the anchored VWAP trend indicator. I have MetaTrader open here. This is MT5, and you want to go into View Navigator. And this is what you see on the bottom left here. Go into Indicators. It should be Market and VWAP Trend. Now, I like to right-click and add it to Favorites. And you can see it switches to this tab right here. And now you can easily get to it without having to go through the different menus. So now you're going to click on this and then drag it onto the chart, and it will give you a pop-up message like this, details the version right here, a small description, and then you go into inputs. Here you can see it has some defaults set for you. You can change it. You can change the price calculation here, being that you can average the high price or the low or the open. Or you can do median price, typical price, and then all the prices, or a weighted close. So by default, it has a close because it's pretty similar to the rest. Okay, now the default here for the time frame is the current time that you have. So in this case, this is a 5-minute chart. So it's saying that this is going to use every 5-minute candle. And then the number of candles by default is 0, and number of pixels or pivots is 0. And when you hit OK, it draws a VWAP line like this. If you go to the Experts tab down here, and this is in your toolbox, so View Toolbox, if you go to Experts, it tells you what it's plugging in. So in this case, because we're on the same time frame, 5 minutes, the multiplier is 1, because every candle is for 1. And then there's 20 periods, 20 candles, and then 8 pivots for a major one. Okay, so that means it will not reset any smaller pivots right here. Okay, this is more of a major. I'm gonna highlight this. This one's a major pivot, and this one's a major pivot. And then, of course, this was the major one before it market dropped like that. Okay, now what happened here with this drop is that the VWAP was actually like this, and it crossed. So after it crossed, formed the major pivot, the VWAP reset and redrew it as a downtrend. Okay, so anytime the market crosses the VWAP, like right here, it shows you that the market could change bias. So in this case, it was going up, kind of a range, went down, up, down. If it stopped right here at 50% of this last up move, it could drop right here because it was going back below the VWAP, right? But it filled this 50% of this last up, and then it went up again, crossed the VWAP again. So it had another expansion up. Okay, and you can see if in real time, the VWAP would have been like this, and right here, it crossed it again, and you can see it went down. It expanded down, and it reset the pivot. So the anchored VWAP will automatically calculate these pivots for you. And if it does it in real time and you don't like it, as the market forms, you just right click on the chart and then click refresh, and it will redraw it to what the trend is developing as. Okay. Now the way to use it, you can add multiple timeframes on top. Is you can now say, well, this is my short-term time frame, being that it's the 5-minute, but what if I want the hour time frame? So in this case, I'm going to actually use the 4 hours, change the colors, and make it yellow. And you can see it, in this case, has a 48 multiplier. being that for every candle, 48 candles has to happen to form a 4-hour, okay? And the period is still the same by default, 20 and 80, 8 pivots. And what this is saying is over a long time frame, I had to go to the 15-minute chart here to zoom out. So now the red candles, the red line here, sorry, change colors. The red line here is the 15 minutes, it's every 15 minutes, and this is the H4 for the yellow. What this is saying is that how you can read it is that this was a uptrend right here, okay? And the red VWAP line says we're kind of in a range now. You see, because this was following here, it's an uptrend, and then once you got to this area, you could kind of see that this area here, it pretty much was ranging, going up and down the same amount. Okay, and in this case, you can see it broke out of the range, but then went back the same amount below. Okay, so the same amount up right here went down the same amount. Okay, and you can see it crossed the major VWAP right there, and it's basically forming a down channel now. And it crossed the short term right there as well. Okay, so anytime it crosses the VWAP, it shows a structure change and a bias change in the market. So the way to read it is above the VWAP, we're going to go up, and then below the VWAP, especially right here, we're going to go down because there's more selling bias. Okay, whereas over here, there's more buying bias. So that's what volume weighted average price is showing you is the bias in the market based on the number of orders being put in. Okay, and if you layer the two time frames like this can show you your higher time frame and your short-term pullbacks, your lower time frame pullbacks. Okay, so in this case, like right here, it touched the VWAP and then expanded out, and then once it finished that move, expansion, came back down to try and retest that VWAP right there. But you can see, of course, it follows the structure, and it bounced right here, pivot. We draw that right here. See, it had this pivot right here, pivot, so it bounced. And that's how you can layer the different VWAPs. If now, let's say you want to add an even longer time frame, such as swing trading. I'm going to change the colors here. Use magenta, and I want to add a daily. As you can see, the daily and the H4 actually layered together. And now if I don't like that, I can change the period. So I can make this a higher pivot. And what you can see what happened is it disappeared because it's actually further apart. So now, because I changed the time frames, this red one right here is an H1, the yellow one is an H4, and the purple one here is a daily. So what this is saying that is that in the longer time frame of the market, this was a down market, and in the shorter time frame, this was a pullback right here. And now it's continuing the down channel over the days and weeks. Okay, why? Because it crossed this VWAP right here, and likely it's going to this area in the market. So that's how you can layer it and read the different possibilities of market structure and bias. Okay, and if you want to change the periods, as far as the default periods, you can do that. You will get more oscillations as far as back and forth if you do that. So let's say I go back to the 15-minute chart and I can right click on this properties of VWAP. So this is the yellow one, the middle one. And instead of using 8, I want to use it for every 4. In this case, it's about the same. But if I want to do the lower time frame, because this one was 8, I want to do it every 4. You can see more oscillations here, back and forth. Okay, so let me redo that again, and you can see if I do the current with 8 and change the color right here to say blue, so you can see the difference. Take off this. So this is both M15, but one is an 8 and one is a 4. So you can see the 4 has more oscillations, whereas the 8 is just a smoother wave. And the same thing if I want to change, let's say I want to keep this as an 8, but I want to reduce this down to 10 candles. Well, it'll do a similar effect, okay? Whereas if I change this to like really, really low like this, 10 and 4, then you can see even more oscillations right here. Okay. So the default that I have assigned with 20 and 8 has a smoother VWAP line, and it's up to you to change it. You can increase it if you want, decrease it. It's up to you. And of course, you can also change the colors. And you can also save these. So when you go to inputs, just hit save, and it can take you to some folder. Usually it goes to, you should go into the profiles. I think it's presets. Anyways, it doesn't really matter where you save it, but once you save it, then you can load those values, combinations here. Okay, and the other thing is you can save, once you have the settings that you want, especially with the colors, you can save a template. Go to templates and then save the template. In this case, I have it as a default, but you can name it as a different template and call it whatever you want right here. All right, hope this helps for you and explains more of how to use a VWAP and how to read it. Again, the simplest way is above the VWAP. Above means there's more buying pressure or buying bias, and below means there's more selling bias. Okay, and this being the VWAP line. Okay, so anytime it crosses the VWAPs, like it did here, is where you should flip bias. So basically you want to look at the pullback, and it's just some sales like right here, it expanded down. Okay, if you're still buying and if you buy down here, it's fine because you could have caught this up move. But if you're buying up here, very, very bad, and you would be in drawdown and in risk losing money. Okay, so if you want to go against the VWAP, you want to wait for an expansion to like this, where it changes back. It's from an expansion like this to now back to a range market, overall higher time frame range. So if you're going to buy, I would suggest maybe right here, because it's probably going to try to retest the VWAP like this, and then it could go down like this. So of course, these are all just predictions and saying what are possibilities that the market can do. This is not buying or selling advice. Okay, this is more how do you read the VWAP indicator so that you can plan your executions in the market. So if you are selling bias, wait for a pullback like this and sell somewhere here. And if it does cross this VWAP, well, you have basically a range area that you can now fix it back and get out right here. Okay. All right, hope this helps, and good luck with your trading.